Hi, and welcome to Anne's Family Recipe. Today we're making the perfect starter for Thanksgiving dinner, a creamy pumpkin soup with an apple and cranberry relish. This pumpkin soup recipe is a family favorite. My mom, my sisters, and I have been making it for years. So let's get started. I have my Dutch oven preheated over medium heat with about a tablespoon of olive oil inside, and I've chopped up 1 yellow onion that I'm going to add to the oil. Now the original recipe also calls for a couple of ribs of celery that's diced up, but you know how I feel about celery, so we're not using that today. So let's add the onion. And then we're gonna let that saute until it gets nice and soft, so probably for about 6 or 7 minutes. As the onions saute, I'm also gonna throw in a couple tablespoons of butter, a little bit of salt, and some pepper, just to flavor them. The onions are nice and soft and it smells incredible in here. I love the smell of onions and butter cooking. That's a really nostalgic smell for me, especially regarding Thanksgiving. That's the first thing I would smell when I wake up in the morning. We would eat my mom's breakfast casserole and she would be starting to make the stuffing for the turkey. And of course that starts with the onions and butter cooking. So this brings back lots of great memories. Next, I'm adding 3 tablespoons of flour and 2 teaspoons of poultry seasoning. So this is gonna act as our flavoring and then our thickening agent. And then we'll give that a stir and let it cook for just about a minute to cook out the raw flour taste. And the herbs are gonna get nice and fragrant. For even more flavor, I'm gonna add 1 large bay leaf. And then for our liquid, I'm adding 6 cups of low sodium chicken stock. So I'm gonna bring this mixture to a boil and whisk it occasionally because the flour is gonna help it to thicken. So once that happens, we'll add in our pumpkin. Now that our soup is boiling, I'm gonna add in 2 15-ounce cans of plain pumpkin puree, and I'm gonna whisk in between each addition just to kind of incorporate it into the broth. I'm gonna let the soup simmer for about 10 minutes, and in the meantime, we'll make our cranberry and apple relish. So in my mixing bowl, I have 1 Granny Smith apple, and you can use any kind of apple that you like. I just diced it up, and then I have about 1/4 of a yellow onion, and the original recipe called for a red onion, but I don't typically have those on hand, so the yellow onion is fine. To this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. And definitely measure this because I have added too much in the past and it got really sour. But it's nice to have this because it'll help the apples from turning too brown and just give it a nice fresh flavor. We're also going to add in 2 teaspoons of honey. It's for a little sweetness. And then our dried cranberries, so these are just half a cup of sweetened dried cranberries. And some interesting spices we're adding. I have 1 teaspoon of chili powder and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So we'll sprinkle that in. And then stir it all together. My soup has been simmering for about 10 minutes, and the last thing I'm gonna add is a slightly decadent touch. It's about 2 cups of heavy cream and about 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. So we'll just pour that in and whisk it as we go. And it smells just like Thanksgiving in here. Can't wait to eat it. And that's the soup. It doesn't need to cook anymore. You can just keep it warm until you're ready to serve it. I'm gonna add some of my relish on top of my soup. The lemon juice is a nice touch too because it takes away some of the strong flavor of the onion. I love this relish. I'm gonna give myself a lot for dinner tonight. There we go. So now I get to taste it. It's so velvety. Oh, it's delicious. and I love this relish on top. It's a nice kind of textural addition to the smooth and creamy soup. You've got the crunchy apples and kind of the chewy cranberries and a little bit of sweet and savory flavor going on. It's really a nice way to start any Thanksgiving meal or just a dinner you're having in the fall. You're gonna love it. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon for another Thanksgiving recipe. For the full recipe, check the description box below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen.